All right, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is in which you're watching this, okay? Mr. Crawford here for our fourth and last video during summer learning camp. So I just want to thank you all for participating in this summer learning camp and all of the hard work that you've done so far this summer, and I hope you've been able to enjoy these videos. So we're out here in Chelsea, Michigan, and we're at it's actually the largest state rec area in Michigan. Thousands of acres in size, and what's great about this place is it's got a handful of lakes that are on its property, and what's also nice is that it has a learning center on site. It's called the Eddy Discovery Center. I'm not going to talk much more about that, but if you're interested in visiting, you can go online and check it out. One of the tools that they have on site is actually, they have these large rocks that you can actually explore and get close-ups on. And I'm standing at the site of a metamorphic rock area. So they bring these rocks in from far distances and use them as educational tools. These two right here, this is jasperite, and it's either hemolite or hematite. Both of these came from the Upper Peninsula. So one key feature about metamorphic rocks is that they have these waves in them. It almost looks like they're bends and folds, okay? And you might think to yourself, well, how can rock actually bend and fold? Well, rock will bend and fold when it's exposed to large amounts of heat and pressure. So heat and pressure, all right, and pressing down, they can actually cause those rocks to fold. If you come over here with me, we can look at this sign, okay? Jasperite is going to be red in color because of the iron and the iron ore inside of it, okay? And those bands are actually different types of rocks. So jasper, hematite, and then jasper being the types of quartz, okay? So we have the spectacular hematite, which had that luster and shine to it, all right, also found up in Marquette, okay? So this is just one of the many cool things about this this place that we're at, Waterloo State Rec area, okay? All right, let's hope we have a good hike and find out what else we can see, okay? front of us, we have an American beech tree, okay? And these trees are known for having very soft bark, all right? And it actually attracts a lot of people to carve their names in trees, okay? Now that's a gesture that's pretty frowned upon, because when you carve your name or initials into a tree, especially an American beech tree, what happens is you're actually breaking down their defense mechanism. So trees, bark is there to protect the inside of the tree, just like you and I have skin. Our skin protects the inside of our body. It protects our bones, our blood, okay? It prevents us from getting any kind of infection, right? So when we have a cut on our hand, we put on a Band-Aid to prevent bacteria and infection from happening inside of our body. So when you cut a tree, or when you carve your name, or when these folks carve their names inside of this tree, yes, the tree healed up a little bit, but for that period of time, it was vulnerable to becoming infected, okay, with disease and bacteria, and possibly dying off, okay? We're about to enter a new ecosystem. It's called a bog. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of read this out loud to you. Home to ancient plants. Bogs form under unique conditions, poor drainage, and deposits of organic material. Organic material meaning like living things. Poor drainage meaning that the water doesn't drain fast. Okay, that turn into acid-releasing peat. Most occur in the northern hemisphere. Cold, acidic water results in an extremely slow rate of decomposition. To decompose means to break down of organic material. Bogs have no water source other than snow and rainwater. Bogs formed when floating mosses and sedges begin to form a mat that encircles a lake or pond. The open mat of moss and sedge eventually may be colonized by black spruce and tamarack. The cool, acidic environment harbors many unusual plants. A sphagnum bog is named for its most characteristic plant, and that's sphagnum moss. Only a small number of plants and animals are capable of surviving in the extremely acidic conditions. Here in this cool, low-lying pocket, tundra shrubs such as the Labrador tea and the leather leaf can survive far south of their normal range. Orchids and insect-eating plants, or carnivorous plants, like sundew and the pitcher plant, also may occur. Because of the acid water and lack of oxygen, fish and many other forms of aquatic life generally are absent. Birds and mammals are mostly transient visitors from the surrounding forest. So here you can see that it starts as a pond, and then vegetation or plants grow and then die and fall to the ground, and then it continues to these plants actually grow over and across. So there's water inside this bog. Okay, and we're going to see a pitcher plant here in a second. Rose pogonia, the round leaf sundew, and the sphagnum moss. All right, pitcher plants. It is thought that the lack of nutrients has caused plants to evolve, these plants to evolve, an unusual method of acquiring nitrogen, or insect predation. The pitcher plant is lined with downward pointing hairs, trapping insects that enter the plant. Get a close-up of these pitcher plants. So we do have carnivorous plants here in Michigan, and you can find them in Chelsea, Michigan, at the Waterloo State Rec area, and you're going to want to go on the bog trail. Okay. I'm going to try and gently push some of these things off to the side, these other plants, as we zoom in. Okay, here's a good example right here. And you can see the teeth that it's talking about. The hairs that are on the edge that kind of trap the insects in. Okay? Now once the insect falls inside the pitcher plant, there's a liquid, I'd imagine that's somewhat like a sticky or like an adhesive, making it difficult for the insect to get out, and also the liquid has almost like a digestive enzyme, just like your stomach has acids inside of it to digest food. Pitcher plants are going to have digestive enzymes to help break down their food, that insect. I mean, they don't have teeth that actually mechanically break down the food. You know, when you take a bite of a sandwich, you actually chew it and break it down with your molars and your canines, your incisors, whereas a pitcher plant can't and does not do that. So what's crazy about a bog is that if you've ever went swimming in a pool, let's say you have a flotation device and you're out on that flotation device, okay, and you're just floating above the water. That's basically what a bog is. A bog is just a floating raft of grass and plants. okay? So all of these plants have a very shallow root system, okay, that doesn't dig down too deep in the ground. And notice, you probably notice that there's the amount of sunlight here is much different. Tons and tons. You can see straight above. Okay, there is no canopy of trees because some of these trees can't get big enough. Okay, otherwise they'll just topple over and they'll tip over, fall over. Okay, whereas over there we have much solid ground, less water, okay, better drainage. All those things are happening. A bog is basically just a floating raft of vegetation, okay? And you can actually, right, so if it's prehistoric times, I'm a large mammoth and I'm walking across something that looks safe, it looks like land, okay? But then all of a sudden, I start to sink in because I weigh too much. All right, if you think if you're swimming in a swimming pool, you ever had like more than one, like if your brother and your sister or your cousin all jump on the same raft, that raft starts to sink, okay, maybe in a certain area. All right, so it's not a very stable piece of grass or vegetation. So I'm just going to show you. I'm just floating on I'm standing on a piece of floating vegetation right now, and this dock is actually very stable. Okay, it's to increase the stability, but I have about a 4-foot long stick here. Okay, just to show you how deep this actually goes. All right, how deep this bog actually goes, and you'll actually see some gases released as I put this stick into the bog. Okay, the gas is methane being released as I push this in the ground, right? So now watch. Kind of gross, but pretty cool at the same time. Okay, and other people have done the same thing. Look, they found other sticks. Look at this one. Let's see how long this stick is. All right, that's how deep this bog is. The bog's probably even much deeper. Okay. Okay. So, what I have here is a daddy long leg. All right? And you're probably freaking out right now, right? Seeing this on camera, you're like, Mr. Crawford, what are you doing with that spider on your hands? Well, it's not a spider, okay? It is an arachnid, meaning that it has 8 legs, okay? Scorpions are arachnids too. They have 8 legs, all right? But a daddy long leg is actually just a harvestman. And a harvestman, they don't even have fangs, they don't have venom, and they don't spin webs. They don't have the same anatomy as spiders do, so they're harmless. All they do is they eat organic matter, and that one He's now on my pant leg here crawling down. But they're harmless. Okay? Poppy's jealous that I'm giving some special attention to this harvestman here, and we'll guide them. He's under my shoe. I don't want to step on it. We'll try and nudge him down. Him or her. Okay. There we go. It's a harvestman, so it's not a spider. It's an arachnid. It's related to a spider. Okay? But is not a spider. Think back to that caterpillar we just saw back in the pine forest on a pine tree. The back of that caterpillar resembles what's happened to this leaf, these leaves.